Well, fucka ducka ding dong, you know what time it is. It's time to talk about Elden Ring. So I've got a whole load of videos that I am doing on this. One of them I will be going over my what the fuck with the review scores because I'm sorry they are just what the fuck. But today I'm not talking about that. I'm doing what's known as the Dark Souls Diaries. And I just wanted to give my initial thoughts on the game really. I've never played a Dark Souls-esque game before. Elden Ring was my first dive into it. I absolutely love open world games. And Elden Ring does have those ARPG elements. It's got loot, it's got builds that you can do. There's no one standard way about going to the game. And it's got a critical path that hasn't got me bored so far. And actually this is the first game that I've really enjoyed exploring and going about and picking up all the items and wanting to do all the side missions. So just as a preamble, these are my own thoughts. How I go about it is I play the game, I have a notepad with me, and when I see something interesting I generally note it down. And this is about having a discussion, so if you have any thoughts on the points that I'm making or agree or disagree, let me know in the comments. So iterate again, got a point you want to make, put it in the comments below. Anyway, here we go. This is my so far experience with Elden Ring. So the first thing that really hit me when you can't get into those story mode elements, you know, some actual story cutscenes, you get characters introduced. But what I didn't know, and I know it's from a Japanese studio, but I didn't realise just how anime-esque Souls-likes were. And this is just generally from like the shape and the model of the characters' faces, and like how the big bads introduce themselves even though they're kind of speaking some pseudo weird old English language. This is neither a good or a bad thing, it's just an observation really. I absolutely love animes. I watch a lot of them in my downtime. And I guess maybe this is one of those points that people are going to disagree and say, no, Dom, it's not like an anime at all. But it was the first thing that hit me. It was my first point of me actually going into the game, and I put it down on my notepad. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering why I didn't put how visually impressive the game was. And I did put down as my second point that it is a very, very pretty game. That being said, I think it's very pretty in some ways and pretty bland and boring in others. But I do want to get into that in another video. But yeah, if you look up, you are just blown away. The big tree, the skylines are absolutely gorgeous. I think the way that I would put it, on a macro level, this game is visually very, very impressive. If you look at anything from kind of like a far away distance and you pan in the whole world, it really is breathtaking. It creates a very unique magical fantasy world that I don't think I've really ever seen before. I was trying to compare it to things like the World Tree, but I think in terms of like their comparison, the only likeness to it is the fact that it is a giant tree. But then again, saying that, I'm probably not too far into the game at the moment, and there probably is some more comparisons that I'm yet to unfold. So I played a little bit of the game, I was exploring, I did the first two mini-bosses, and then I finally accidentally come across some actually story progression and ran into my first voice acting of the game. And I respect that this is probably my own personal opinion, but the exorbitant amount of kind of like weird old English that they keep using, and I'm not a lingual expert whatsoever, but it sounds like it's a mix between modern day English and old English words just thrown in here and there. And then to compile on top of it, they gave one of the witches that I came across this Welsh accent as well. It just felt a bit forced, or maybe just like the person doing the voice acting had never really spoken like this before. And it wasn't a consistent thing. It definitely was only some characters doing some voice lines. But when it happened, it was really apparent. Because, like, you come across our first dude, and I won't do any spoilers, but, you know, he's speaking away and, you know, throwing all the old English linguistics at you. And I was completely buying it. It was like, oh, wow, he sounds so wise and deep and meaningful. And while we're talking about bosses and just general look of the character models, I gotta say, they do ugly really, really well. When you come across some sort of mutated hybrid of a person, it's just like, whoa, they look really mean and ugly, and oh man, I should probably avoid them. And just any thematics that I came across, the presence that they were trying to create, they did it well. Okay, so in other additional notes, I thought the summoning kind of sucked. It took me a while to read it and understand what was going on. Once I got the knack of it and where it was meant to be used, it wasn't so bad, but for a while it was just like, what am I doing? Now this kind of ties into the whole note system. I absolutely love the note system. So many comments made me laugh. There's some great humour in there. And part of the reason I liked going to a new zone was so that I could read all the different comments that people had left on the floor. There are some really good notes. There's also a lot of trolly ones. But it made me feel not lonely playing this single player game, even though I know it's got a multiplayer aspect to it. And also the fact that you can see all the deaths of people and like ghostly images of people running around. And I just really, really enjoyed those elements. Even though it's such a simple thing, it added a new layer to a game that I've never really experienced before. It's almost like those racing games where you play them, there's like a ghost car of someone else with their best lap time that you can follow around. Just in this instance, it shows you their brutal murder when they crash. So I'm just about up to the first boss. I got just these quick fire points. I thought the bird with knives for feet were pretty ingenious and made me laugh and also jump at the same time. I don't know if it's the fact that I'm playing the game for the first time in a Souls-like, but also I thought I'd play a magic character. There is pretty limited magic so far. I know I'm only up to the first boss, but I thought I would see something a little bit different apart from the 2 spells that I've got so far. I also noted that they really like to use the colour brown. If this was an erotica book, it would be 50 Shades of Brown. And while outside can be more colourful, certainly going in my first castle, it's just brown with more brown. Occasionally diving into an orange with a hue of brown. And again, yeah, just my last 2 points is that I don't ever feel alone playing this game. And again, to iterate, I really like the note system. Anyway, that's my notes so far of up to the first boss. I will be going more into kind of like the playthrough elements of it. But I just wanted to talk about, my experience of this as a kind of first-time Souls-like player. So expect more Dark Soul Diaries videos to come up. And again, please do leave your comments. I just want to have a discussion. I try and reply to everyone that I can. With the whole Lost Ark videos, it has been a little bit more challenging because there's literally thousands of you replying at the moment. But yeah, do please keep the emails coming in. Thank you for all the great feedback. And yeah, have a great week, everyone.